been here since 1987, and the first vines went into Bright Valley in 2009, so it's quite a stretch. But when my wife bought the farm, we wanted to buy this house, but there was just the gardens, as you can see, nice gardens. Quite enough for me and not enough for Bella because she wanted a lot more room for her horses. And the owners of this house said, well, there's a farm coming up just at the edge of the village. And we looked at that and so we bought that as part of the package. And I saw there was a huge amount of chalk on it. I mean, covered with chalk. And I was still working in Paris at the time, l'Académie du Vin, Carte Madeleine. So I put a couple of blocks of chalk in my pocket and put them in front of Michel Bétain, who was my top professor at l'Académie du Vin and is now Mr. Wine France. And I said, Michel, where do you think those are from? He said, well, Champagne, of course. I said, no, they're from South Dorset. He said, you should plant a vineyard. Well, I didn't, but I did have Michel Laroche from Chablis come out and have lunch with us. And he took a bucket of soil back to Chablis to have it analysed. And the analysis came back good for Chardonnay or any cool climate grape like Pinot Noir. So, fine, good to know, but I didn't do anything. Had I planted, I might have planted Pinot Blanc, because I like Pinot Blanc. But anyway, then, in the mid-90s, I attended the awards ceremony for the International Wine and Spirit competition. And as I walked in, the chairman gave me a glass of something sparkling and said, Stephen, what do you think that is? So I said, well, it's Champagne, it's Chardonnay, probably a Grand Cru wine, Night Timber. And Night Timber Blanc de Blanc 89 had beaten all the top champagnes. And that put English wine, sparkling wine on the map. And then Ridgeview in 2006 did the same thing at the Decanter World Wine Awards. And that determined me to do something, because each time I walked the dog around the farm, I could just imagine vines down there, where they are now. So I put together a dossier and took it to Vinexpo in 2007, showed it to the Boisset family, who I knew well, and they were really keen. And they're based in Burgundy, and they're some of the biggest producers, probably the biggest producer of Cremant de Bourgogne. So they knew all about sparkling wine. Okay, they were mad about the idea. They wanted to do 70 acres, build a winery, so on and so forth. When all the analysis was in, there was only about 25 acres, 10 hectares, which are really suitable for planting. And they just said, okay, Stephen, you and Bella, you plant the vineyard yourself. You buy the vines from Pépinière Guillaume, who are in Burgundy, who supply Bollinger and Roederer and the Romanée-Conti. You take your grapes to Spurrier Estate, which they visited a winery 25 minutes away from here. And if all goes well, we'll buy your wine. So off we went. If Spurrier Estate hadn't been there, I wouldn't have planted. I know nothing about winemaking. And to have built a winery would have been another $500,000. So it just wouldn't have happened. And it's been a rocky ride because the wines we have made, or the wines that Ian Edwards has made with our grapes, have always been very good. But the quantity in certain vintages has been totally and utterly uneconomic. And so by 2017, I'd had 3 small vintages and I was averaging a quarter bottle of wine. Even the Romanée-Conti can't survive on that. And then 18 comes along and we get almost 1.5 bottles of wine. More wine in that vintage than all the vintages put together. And 19 wasn't too bad either. We'll have a little less this year. But it makes it plain that the vineyard can produce my aim of 1 bottle of wine. When we bought the farm, it had sheep, lots of sheep. So the aim was to turn a loss-making sheep farm into a profit-making vineyard. And time will tell. But it'll work out better than the sheep, that's for sure.